All right, we are beginning. Today's group call is all about how to handle objections. So raise your hand if most of you have had a hard time handling objections. Raise your hand. I just want to see hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up. All right, cool. So this is hands down. So this is the way I like to do these trainings. And make sure everyone is on mute, please, so we don't interrupt this process. I'm just gonna download whatever information comes to my head. I have nothing really prepared. Whatever just comes to mind, I'm just gonna share it. It's gonna take about 15, maybe 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna open this up to a Q&A, and then we're gonna do some live objection handling, not just with you and I, but with each other, because that's the only way you guys are gonna improve. It's not just hearing me fucking talk, even though I love hearing my voice all the time talk, right? It's about you guys handling the objections with each other, okay? So, a few things that are coming to mind right now. All right, let me just download this shit. Number one, okay? Here's rule number one when it comes to the enrollment process. Never expect an immediate yes on the call. Always, when you get on your 10-minute calls and your 60-minute calls, when you're reaching out in the messenger process to everybody out there, always expect for them to say a no. Prepare that. Guys, make sure you're on mute, please. Somebody's not on mute. I'm not sure who it is. Okay, I think it was you, Stacy. Okay, cool. Yeah, so rule number one, always expect the no. The reason why you guys, most of you get butthurt is because you're hoping, ooh, I hope this person says yes. Ooh, I want them to say yes. And you're crossing your fingers and you sound so desperate in your tonality rather than just willing to serve them and see if they're gonna be a good fit. And so when you automatically set the expectation that they're gonna say no, you're golden. I don't know who the hell is yelling in the background. Megan, I think I just muted you. It's okay. Maria, hey Maria, I'm muting you. Everybody else is on mute. Cool. So just to recap, this is just to set everybody's expectations. Always expect the no. Understood? We good? Wonderful. Number two, improve your ability to reframe the conversation. Now, what do I mean by reframing? Here it is, the 3 C's. Okay, remember this. Contrast, content, context. Okay? When I'm talking about reframing, I'm talking about contrast, content, and context. So here it is in one sentence. Your ability to reframe a conversation is your ability to contrast the content within the context of the situation. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Your ability to reframe effectively is your ability to contrast the content within the context of the conversation or the situation. So for example, if somebody comes up to you and says, what is the most common objection? Yeah, and they sound so fucking happy. I'm at a 10. Yes, I'm at a 10. I'm ready. I'm all in. And then they say, you drop the price point is $1,500, $3,000, $5,000, whatever the price point is. And then all of a sudden you hear their tonality. Rule number one, expect the no, so you're prepared. Rule number two, listen to what they're saying. And usually when you're listening to listen to the content is usually going to come in the form of, I can't afford this. Oh, I don't have time right now. Oh, I got to talk to my spouse or my husband. Oh, this is the content. This is the story that they're telling themselves. Now, your job as a coach is to contrast that content within the context of the conversation, within the call. And so here's what I mean. Comedians are phenomenal at this. They can take a heckler or someone who says, you suck, and then they bring them on their side, right? Or they just make the whole crowd, they change the whole conversation and the content within the crowd, right? Me being a speaker, I can do this very well, so it kind of comes a bit more naturally. But for you guys who are just starting out, who are not doing this, here's what you need to do. Take their content and then contrast that with an extreme example. For example, I can't afford this right now. Well, if I held a gun to your head and you had 24 hours to live, and then I held a knife to everyone that you love in their throat. I held a knife to their throat. And I said, you know, all of these people, I'm going to slit their throat within 24 hours if you can't get $1,500. Are you going to find a way to get $1,500? What do you think they're going to say? Hell yeah, they are. Now, that's an extreme, contrasting example. But do you see how I just shifted that content? Like, I went from, it was such a big contrast. Like, what the fuck? Like, this guy's talking about killing my family. I'm a little bit uncomfortable now, right? Now, you don't have to use the pain point of a contrast content. You can use a pleasure. So, for example, this is something that I've used, and I've used this with some of you guys who are on this call, right? So I said, some of you said, well, I can't, yeah, you're so handsome, but I really can't afford this. You know, and I would say something like, well, can you tell me a little bit more? Like, what do you mean you can't afford this? Well, you know, I just really don't have the money right now. You don't have the money right now. Okay, cool. What's something that you really, really want that costs a lot of money, like over $50,000? Now, notice what I'm doing here. I'm changing the content, the story. And then they start thinking like, well, they might say a car. They might say a nice mansion by the beach, right? And so let's say for me, I'll use myself. I'll say like, I want a Tesla and I want an oceanfront house, like a Mediterranean mansion by the beach in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, right? I just got to put somebody on mute here. Sammy, I'm putting you on mute. Cool. So let's say they want, you know, this huge house or this Tesla or this car, whatever it is that they want. Then you clarify, how much do you think that would cost? Oh, shit. Like $1 million? $1 million. Okay. And what kind of car, what kind of Tesla do you want? What color? Red. Okay, cool. You want a red Tesla. And this house, you want it where? By Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's by the beach. Okay, cool. And $1 million, right? Yes. Now they're getting excited, right? They're in the future, not the past. So what I'm going to be saying simply is like, okay, now what if I came up to you and I said, look what I got here. I got 2 keys. This is the key to your red Tesla, and this is the key to your $1 million home by the ocean front, you know, by the beach in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And you can have both of these keys, and you can own, no payments, you can own the Tesla and your mansion. As long as you get me $1,500 in the next 24 hours. Would you be able to make that happen, yes or no? What do you think they're gonna say? Of course they're gonna say yes. You know why? Because the value is inherent they already want something like that. So when you're dealing with an objection immediately, right, when you're struggling with an objection, it's usually not a financial problem, even though the content, the story that they're telling you is, I don't have the money. It's usually a problem because you haven't positioned the value properly. For example, if the value of saving their own life and the life of the people that they love, that's very valuable for them. They don't have an objection. They'll figure out a way to make it happen, whether or not they know how. They're not gonna say, oh, I think I can make that happen. Let me figure this out, right? If somebody was struggling with cancer, I think Tanner was saying this in one of his videos. Somebody was struggling with cancer, and they're talking about, well, I can't afford this. I was like, well, what if I can cure your cancer tomorrow? Would you be able to afford it then? And I have the actual cure, so you don't have to go through chemotherapy and lose your hair and like lose all your muscle and everything. Would you be able to make that happen? Oh, yes, I would. Okay, so let's talk about that. How would you make that happen? Because a few minutes ago, you told me that you wouldn't be able to make that money. You couldn't afford it. So again, I'm going a little bit all over the place, but I'm just trying to demonstrate the example of reframing. All of you do this already. All of you are doing this naturally already. You're just unconscious of it. You're not aware that you're doing this. Okay, when somebody says, you're stupid, you say, no, I'm not. You're a dumbass. No, I'm not. Speak for yourself. That's a form of reframing. You guys are naturally doing this. Most of us, we just get uncomfortable when it comes to money, talking about money, because it ties into our sense of security and belonging, okay? So just to recap, rule number 1, expect the no on the call. When you're reaching out and you're doing the messenger process, when you get a person on a 10-minute or even a 60-minute call, always expect for them to say no, period. always expect for them to say no. Never. If you get a yes, you're one of the lucky ones. You're one of the lucky ones. If you ever got somebody who said a yes, very, very lucky. So now that you got that out of the way and you eliminated that expectation, I just need to put somebody else on mute. Somebody is not on mute. I don't know who it is. I think it was Brad. I got you, and Greg. Guys, make sure you're on mute, please. Thank you. I think you guys are good now. So once you eliminate the whole, expectation, like hopefully I get a yes, right? The second part is thinking how you can reframe the moment you come to the objection. And remember, reframing is your ability to contrast the content within the context of the conversation or situation. So just come up with an extreme, I don't care. I just use those examples because I like those examples. It's a no-brainer example. If I were able to get you $1 million tomorrow, let's just say hypothetically, but you needed to get me $10,000 within 24 hours, would you do that? Yes or no? Would you figure out a way to make that happen? Of course you would, even if you didn't know how. So that's number one. Okay, so that's number one. That's number two. Number three, I want you to change your perspective of the word or the experience of objection. Because 9 times out of 10, the person who's on the other side is not really objecting you. They're just concerned that you're going to screw them over. That's just the reality. They're not here trying to, bust your balls or your ovaries, right? They're not here trying to I don't know. That was the only thing that came out in that moment. Sorry about that. But they're not here trying to give you a hard time. They're not here trying to waste your time. Always understand that the potential client or customer, they're coming from a positive intent. Okay? And the moment that they're about to make a huge risk or an investment, their protection patterns and mechanisms are going to start surfacing up really high, loud. And there's nothing that reveals more about a person's psychology than how they handle money, sex, and food. Those are the three things. Money is one of them because it's intrinsic to our sense of identity and security. So, now that you're aware that maybe they're not trying to object you, but they're more likely that they're concerned, your job when you're on the call is to clarify what they're concerned about. So remember this 3-step formula that I'm about to share with you. Clarify, discuss, then diffuse. So your job is when you're speaking to them, clarify, oh, I can't afford it. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that? And let them tell you, just ask questions. Oh, well, right now I'm about to make a move and I'm transitioning and, I put my money into this, and then they're going to tell you their content. Okay, so are you okay if we talk a little bit about the finances, just a bit more, just so I can understand where you're at financially, instead of giving me a blanket statement that you can't afford it? Because maybe you can, you just can't see it right now. And then see what they say. Oh, yeah, sure. Your whole goal in the clarification process is to make them feel safe. That's it. Is to make them feel safe and secure. That's your number one priority. What can you do to get on their side, to let them know that you're not a douchebag that's trying to scam them? That whatever you have, whatever you're offering, is actually going to change their lives if they take it seriously. And you could come up with a bunch of questions. One of the questions is, well, what do you mean by that? Can you tell me a bit more? So what I hear you saying is that this, repeat what you said. Am I right? And then they'll tell you. Once you get a good understanding, because there's the 5th habit from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the 5th habit is seek to understand and then to be understood. Okay, seek to understand then to be understood. So when you're talking to them, just understand their worldview. What are they freaking out about that? What are they freaking out about? What's really going on? Their heart is beating out of their chest. They're about to, oh my God, pay so much money that they've never had in one shot, especially over to a stranger on the phone. Some of them, they know you, but they've never made that type of investment. They're just freaking out. Okay, once you clarify what it is exactly that's going on, the story, the content, then you can discuss what's going on. And this is where the contrasting comes in. Well, what if, that's 2 words right there that you gotta use. Well, what if this actually became the best investment in your life? What if within a few short weeks to months, you're walking around in your size 2 pants, or you're taking your shirt off in the beach looking amazing and getting all that respect from your friends and family, the people who judge you. And they're like, wow, like what if that happens? Now, the area of discussion, so remember the first part is clarify, the second part is discuss, and the third part will be diffusing. When you get to the discussion phase, some of you will be like, well, what do I say? Like, what am I really saying here? I don't know. Well, if you did a good job during the call in the beginning, digging deep into their goals as to why now and why you, why is this going to be different than all the other times? That's your content right there that you're going to bring back when they object you, or when they challenge you, or when they come up with a story. So what you guys can do in the beginning of your calls a little bit better, and I'm saying this to myself as well, is get crystal clear. Go deeper to the secret fears and desires. The secret, not the superficial, the secret fears and desires of why they're on the call with you. I can guarantee 9 times out of 10, the people who are on the call with you, it's not their first time. They're not their first rodeo that they try to lose weight or gain muscle or whatever it was. It's not their first time. Why is it going to be different with you? So they come to you, they say, well, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to gain 15 pounds of muscle, or whatever their goal is. So that's a superficial desire, right? That's a superficial goal. So dig deeper. So can you tell me about, like, if you want this so bad, why haven't you done this already? Like, why am I going to be different than everybody else? Like, is it like, why are you really doing this? I need to understand what's motivating you here, because I'm pretty sure you don't need more information. You need a transformation. If you need more information, you could just go on YouTube and get it done, and you could have been done yourself. So what is it that you're really looking for? What's really keeping you up at night? And pay very close attention to what they're saying. They're giving you the content for the discussion mode when you get into the discussion phase of the objection handling. Okay? Then you guys can discuss. Use the contrasting rule. Well, if you got this, $1 million home, what is it that you really want? Very, very important here. I know I'm going all over the place, but very important here. Use their language. Some of you are getting stuck because you're so attached to a freaking script. And you're like, well, I don't have the right, I don't know what to say. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether or not you have the script. What matters is, are you listening to your fucking client? Are you listening to them? Can they sense, can they feel that you're here to serve them and change their lives? That's what matters most. And when you listen to them, you're able to take the content, the things that they shared with you, and bring it back in the conversation. And when you can bring back the content within the conversation in their own words, subconsciously, they're going to feel like, oh my God, this person gets me, even though they told you from the beginning of the call what it is that they were looking for. Okay? And then the diffusion, the third part. So clarify, discuss, then diffuse. The diffusion is just like, let them know, like, hey, it's okay. I understand, but this is going to be different. Acknowledge their fears. Acknowledge their concerns. Acknowledge the fact that they're sweating out of, like profusely, and they're about to pass out. And acknowledge that on the call, right? Let them know that, hey, like you can even use, when it comes to the discussion and diffusion stage, what I love to do in this moment is letting them know that they're not alone. They weren't the only ones who felt that way. What a lot of people do back in the day, like the old school objection handling, They would immediately say, oh, well, I can't afford this. Well, my previous client, so-and-so, felt the same way, and she did this, and now she's this. No, don't do that, right? Get in their mind. Enter the conversation in their head, their fears, their desires, their concerns. Have a frank, casual conversation with them, discussing it. Reframing their content, their story about what they're telling themselves, and then diffuse it by letting them know that they're not alone. You've worked with people. And if you haven't worked with people yet, guess what? You can share your own story. I know exactly what you feel. I was talking to this guy, Yayha, like 3 weeks ago. And, I had to make a huge investment that was like $5,000. And I kid you not, I was freaking out. Like, here's what I felt. I felt this, I felt this, I felt this, I felt this. But I tell you what, it was the best decision that I've made. Because here's what I got. Now, you're not this evil person on the call that's trying to sell them. You're this person that is relating to them, just letting them know, like, I got you. And this is so important because you are giving them a taste, an appetizer of the main course of how you actually coach. You're giving them a test drive. So here's a great example, okay? Somebody just came on the call. I'm gonna mute this person. Just give me 1 second. I think it's Paulo. Okay, gotcha, muted. Perfect. So, when you get on a roller coaster, how many of you guys, raise your hand if you've ever been on a roller coaster. Okay, cool. So, when you go on a roller coaster, be honest with me, right? When the seatbelt comes on, right, you're on the roller coaster, and the seatbelt comes on, maybe it comes from the top or it's like from the bottom. Are you just like, oh yeah, seatbelt is on, cool, woo? Or are you testing that shit out? Are you like, wait, hold on, let me just like make sure, let me just like make sure it's tight, right? You guys are testing the seatbelt, even though 9 times out of 10 it's gonna be secure. That's exactly what your clients are doing, your potential clients and customers are doing. They're testing you. Every time they're nudging you, that's them like saying like, yo, do you got me? Because I don't know. I know I'm about to go on this ride, but I don't want to fucking die. Are you guys with me? Come on, I'm preaching right now. So again, remember, they're not this evil people who are trying to like make this experience so bad for you. They're just like you. They're afraid. You've been in their shoes. You know exactly if there's anyone that can relate to them, it's you. Raise your hand if you guys, if I enrolled you into Wealthy Coach Academy. Just raise your hand. I just want to see how many hands we got here. Okay, we got a few people here, not everybody. All right, wonderful. Now, raise your hand if when I got to the price point, your immediate answer was yes. Like immediately, it was like, oh yes, okay, let's do it immediately. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if, okay, put your hands down. Raise your hand if your answer was immediately no, or like, I don't know. Raise your hand. For everybody, not just me, for everybody. Whoever enrolled you. Okay, that's like majority of the people here. So again, I'm not making this shit up. You guys are great examples of people who enrolled into this program, not because we're trying to scam you or sell you something, but because we're trying to serve you with something that we believe can actually help you transform not only your business, but your clients' lives. You gotta have that level of conviction and certainty and confidence in your ability to share what it is that you're doing and offering to them. Okay, so I'm just gonna recap. Rule number 1, always expect the no. Never expect the yes. If you get a yes, consider yourself one of the lucky people, right? When I started speaking 7 years ago, one of my mentors said, Yayha, you gotta reach out to 100 people. And for every 100 people that you reach out to, just expect 1 yes. I'm like, what? That's crazy. I just want that shit to happen now. And he was right. It's a numbers game at the end of the day. Don't take it personally. Number 2, reframe. Always learn how to reframe. It's a skill that you're already doing. Many of you are doing this naturally, but in technical language, reframing is your ability to contrast the content within the context of the conversation. So if they're giving you a certain content or a story, I can't afford this, I need to talk to my husband or my wife, or I don't have the money right now, or whatever, do whatever you can to reframe that. Change the conversation. And the way that you can do that is through the 3 steps that I just shared. Clarify. Well, can you tell me a little bit more about what do you mean by you can't afford this? Like, what is your actual situation right now? Because I honestly don't know. Like, you say that, but maybe there's another way that you can see this. Maybe you can apply for something that is better. Because we've had people who didn't have the money, but they were still able to make this happen. Now you're changing the content of the conversation, right? Then discuss. Have a conversation with it. Just discuss it. Like, okay, I get it. Is this what you're saying? Nice. So what if this was happened? Then you can bring in the contrasting examples. Well, if I held a gun to your head, or if I gave you the keys to your dream house and dream car and said you can own it within the next couple of hours, as long as you can get me X amount of dollars that you're asking for, would you be able to make that happen? And notice, pay attention to their energy and how they answer that. They're gonna say, oh, hell yeah, absolutely. Oh, really? Because a few seconds ago, you just telling me this whole story of that you can't. How are you going to be able to do that? I'm assuming that you're in the same circumstance. And when they're in there, when they're in, I'm just adding some shit here, but when they're in the space of, well, yeah, of course, I would figure out how to make that money happen. I would get that money because I love my family, or I don't want to die, or I want those cars and homes, or whatever it is. Be like, well, interesting. How would you do that? Like, how would you actually get that money if you wanted that car, if you want to save your family's life or your life? How would you do that? Can you tell me? Well, first I would just call whoever I know. Write this down. So that's their strategy. Now they're giving you the game plan of what they're going to do. They're giving that to you. They're going to call everyone you know. Is there anyone specific that you would call? Well, I would call my nono, my grandma, and let her know, like, hey, I've been a good grandson or a good granddaughter for so many years, and like I really need help because I don't want my sister to die. Right? You see, like, they're giving you the content, the information of how, okay, what else can you do? I would go to a bank to get a loan. Oh, you would go? Okay. What else would you do? I would call all my best friends if possible, or I would apply for credit. Now they're giving you strategies. Okay? You're going to use that and then bring it back. Okay? Then the third part of that area is the whole diffusion. You diffuse it by reminding them that they're not alone, that you've been in their shoes, or other people who've been in their shoes, and they're able to make it happen. And this is where the whole part of the whole part of you're not alone, I got you, here's how we can help you throughout this process. Now you can come up with a strategy. There's PayPal credit. Okay, PayPal credit is a great option. Now they're more open to your suggestions. Before they were so tight. They're in fear. But when they're in fear, you gotta help them loosen up and feel safe so they can feel calm and have a regular conversation. Okay, cool. So that's my immediate download. All right, now I just want to open this up to a few questions, but before I do that, I want to answer some questions for people who weren't here. I got some things here. So the first question that I got is from Stacy Chuck, who said, schedule spouse money or they ghost out. I don't know if this is veering off the topic of objections, but I honestly need to learn how to lock them in before it comes to an objection. I need help drawing out their why, focusing on that and making my service a necessity to them. My calls are too casual. I need to get them to be more serious and do a hard reality check that this is a life-changing opportunity. I know it starts with me. I need to change my tone. So Stacy, if you're listening to this, I think you're on the call right now. If you're listening to this, the way that you do this is by kind of what I said in the beginning. Dig a bit deeper to understand and discover what their secret fears and desires are. That's how you uncover their why. And when it comes to your tonality, you gotta understand these people are on a call, right? 70 to 80% of your communication is nonverbal. It's when your body language, it's mainly your body language really, right? But they can't see your body language. So that means like, even if you have like your chest up and you're like confident or whatever, they can't see that. So they're noticing your conviction, your certainty, and your confidence based on your vocal tonality. So don't be like, why do you want this now? Okay, cool. And what, from a 1 to 10, where are you? A 1 being that you don't want to do this, and a 10 being this. You see how I'm fucking boring, right? You got to make sure that this is like an emotional roller coaster. And this is not manipulation. This is an experience that you're taking them on a call. You're taking, like when I'm on stage, I'm not manipulating my audience. When I'm on a call, I'm not manipulating you guys. I'm taking you through an experience. This is a psychological shift in what you're going through. So don't be afraid to shift your tonality. So hopefully that answers your question, Stacy. When it comes to scheduling, spouse, money, or they ghost out, look, it's never a money problem. It's a value problem. All right? Get the whole money thing out of your head right now. It's never a money problem. It's a value problem. You haven't positioned the value well enough. If I were to say, oh, Wealthy Coach Academy costs $10,000. Which it does. Wealthy Coach Academy, the retail value costs $10,000, and you have no contacts, you're gonna be like, whoa, that's fucking a lot of money. But if I were to say, did you go to like college? Oh yeah. Did you get your degree? Yeah. Oh, so are you like, did you get it paid for? Did you get a scholarship, or was it a student loan that you took out? I took out a student loan. Oh, how much are you in debt, or did you pay it off? I'm about $40,000 in debt. Okay. Would you say that was a good return on your investment? Yes or no? Not really. Okay, cool. So what do you think we should be charging for something that gets you better results than a 4-year college degree? Whoa. Now, you saw the contrast that I did there? You saw how I changed the content in the context of the situation? I brought it up to that level. So in your situation, in your scenario, ask yourself, like, what would be a good way to remind them of the value? Like, what is it costing them not to work with you? Is it costing them a low sex drive? Is it costing them shame every time they walk out or every time they go to a family gathering? Is it costing them low energy where they can't play with their kids anymore? Is it costing them like they can't perform better when they're at their job, and at 1 p.m. every afternoon they crash? Is it costing them the self-esteem? How much longer are they going to continue dealing with that? This is why they need to work with you. That's the value that you guys are offering. It's never about the money. It's never about the money. Okay, cool. When it comes to their spouses, okay, here's what I do. And I know most of you guys, you might do this a little bit differently, or you're trained differently. I never do another call unless I know that the spouse needs to be on that call. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to get their information, the spouse's information. So is there anybody else in charge of making this decision for you in the future? Like, are you going to make this decision, or I like to get that off like immediately, right? In the beginning of the call. Oh, who else is going to be part of the decision-making process? Oh, my husband, Charlie. Cool. What does Charlie do? Oh, he does this, and he's in the military, and he does that, and whatever. Okay, nice. And is Charlie supportive of your dreams and your goals? Let that sink in. Notice what I just did there. Is your spouse someone who supports you, or someone who brings you down and disbelieves in you? You want to remind them the dynamic of the relationship. okay? And how they answer this question will give you a better idea of how you're gonna continue this conversation. Okay? Because if you're gonna be rescheduling the call with their spouse, and let's say their spouse or their partner is someone who does not support them, well, I would say, I would focus the entire conversation in making sure that they are completely sold in making this happen for them, regardless of what anybody else thinks of them. I've had a few people on this call, not gonna mention any names, where their spouse got on the call with me and their spouse did not want this to happen at all. And I made it crystal clear. Are you doing this for you or are you doing this for him or her? What do you want to do? Who's in charge in this? Who's in charge of your health? Who's in charge of your results? And some people who are here right now decided to make the investment and say, you know what? I'm doing this for me. I don't give 2 fucks about what anybody else thinks. 0 fucks given. Okay? So that's how I would handle the dynamic when it comes to the spouse. All right? And don't be afraid to challenge the spouse. They're going to say that you're a scam. They might say like, we don't have the money right now. Make sure when they're on the call, you can handle this conversation. Okay? So I would do as best as I can to get everything done in the first call to see how sold they are into doing this for themselves. And if they need to bring another person in the conversation, I need to make sure that they're the kid in the candy store. When you look at parents going, like, let's say you go shopping and you see like, I'm gonna have a daughter soon, so I'm not looking forward to this. But like, you're gonna have the kid who doesn't have the money, but mommy and daddy are here, and then the kid says, "Mommy, I want this candy," and they're like, "No, mommy, I want this candy!" Just freaking out, going crazy. That kid is resourceful as hell. That kid is super resourceful. I want to make sure that whoever is going to be on the call, is going to be as resourceful. Okay? Now I'm going to move on because I can talk about this for hours. So the whole afford it. Anytime you hear somebody say, "I can't afford it," no, you cannot not afford this. You don't have the luxury to not afford this. You have to. And here's why. Remind them of why they're on the call with you. Remind them of how they feel when they're alone, when they're eating the cake and they're stuffing their face and they feel like, why is this happening? Remind them, okay? Okay, so that's pretty much it. And let me just open this up. Raise your hand if you guys have I got a question here. So post your questions in the chat below. This is my first time doing this on a Zoom with you guys, so just post your questions on the chat below. Kelly, so are you saying don't ask your spouse to be on the call, but reschedule if they insist the spouse needs to be a part of that decision? No, I'm not saying to not ask your spouse to be on that call. What I'm saying is get crystal clear on the dynamic of the relationship and understand who's really in charge there. Because usually in most relationships, it's the woman who makes the decision. Let's be honest, right? It's the woman who makes the decision. So if the woman is not convinced that she wants this for herself, then what kind of leverage does her husband or her partner or boyfriend have? So you need to understand. I need to put somebody on mute here. Guys, please go on mute, whoever is not on mute. So hopefully that clarifies. Ainsley, so when you're asking if the husband is supportive of their calls, is that on the 10-minute call? Absolutely, yes. You need to get a better sense of who you're going to be speaking to as soon as possible. You need to understand their psychology, their money mindset, right? Their money mindset and their relationship dynamics on the first call. That's it. The sooner you can get to the objections, the better you are. The less time you waste. So what I like to do in a call is I like to create a lot of tension. I like to make it uncomfortable very, very fast. And I'm not trying to be mean or whatever. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to see who you really are when push comes to shove. And there's nothing that makes people more uncomfortable than talking about money. Nothing. There's nothing that will make them feel uncomfortable. You start seeing all stuff. You're like, in the beginning of the call, like I hear a lot of you saying, I got on a 10-minute call and I got on a 60-minute call. She seemed like she was so amazing. And then all of a sudden, you know, when I just said the price, she was like, oh no, I can't. There's nothing more frustrating than that. So the sooner I can not beat around the bush, the sooner I can get to the heart of the matter and see who they really are when push comes to shove, the better I know I'll have in you know, navigating the conversation and my time. Okay? And clearly, you need to make it clear that you're not here to waste your time and you're not here to waste theirs. So it's all about not controlling the conversation, but guiding it. Guiding it because they're trusting in your guidance if they're going to be investing in your services. Okay. Any other questions that we got before we open this up to the masses? Was this valuable? Can you give me a thumbs up if this was a valuable call? I need to see a thumbs up. Okay, most of you guys don't even have. Wonderful. Okay, cool. Some of you guys have lost your thumbs. I forgive you for now. Okay, so I want to open this up to some live objection handling. So who wants to be the first volunteer? Who wants to be unmute yourself if you want to be the first volunteer. Oh, come on, don't all jump at once. Don't all jump at once. Who is this? Who am I talking to? Megan?
I'm unmuted, but I don't know.
Okay,
So
Megan.
Are we like doing like a pretend, or can I ask you a question?
You can ask me a question, man. Go ahead, ask me a question.
Okay, so when I came in, Ben brought me in and he did a lot of this, like the objection handling, and like asked me some like really challenging questions. So much so that it like kind of put me in a place of like, I really want this, but I'm kind of like in a place of half uncomfortable, half not pissed off, but like kind of annoyed, if that makes sense. Like,
By who? By you or by your situation?
By the whole thing. But when I'm listening to you now, it's almost like maybe that's kind of right where you want them to be.
Yes.
In a weird way. So like thinking that through a lot, I feel like I was like, okay, you know, because he was like, well, how resourceful can you be? And asking me all these really tough questions that I didn't really even have the answer to at the moment. But I just wanted to clarify, like, that's where you kind of want them to be. You want them to be in this place of like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Yes, so, tension. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I felt.
Good. Ben did a phenomenal job then. Thank you. Did you have a question, by the way, or no? Or you just want to add that?
No, that was my question. Is that kind of where you want them to be? Like, is that kind of like that bizarre, uncomfortable, weird, annoyed feeling at like the whole situation?
Absolutely, so, because in the space of discomfort, that's when a person is going to be decisive.
Right.
Oh, that's a tweetable. I got to tweet that one. Holy shit, that was good. All right.
Yeah, that was my question. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Megan. Thank you. So I'm going to bring back the spotlight on me. Just give me 1 second. All right, cool. And shipping to everyone, Kayla taught me to use their own words against them when they tell you why they are at 10 to change right now. Example, I'm depressed. I feel disgusting, gross, to sell them on why they need this. I felt the same way, Megan. Yeah, so just to be clear, and again, I'm a hypnotist. I'm trained in neurolinguistic programming. So I'm very conscientious of how people use words. And I'm not the best at it, but I'm aware of it. So when somebody says try, but I'm trying so hard, that implies failure subconsciously. It's do or don't, there's no try. Now, shipping. When you said Kayla taught me to use her own words against them, no, you're not using anything against your client or customer. You're using everything for them. It's for them. It's for their best interest. Because if you're coming against, it's a battle. You're not in a battle. You're not in a battle. When somebody's about to commit suicide and they're about to jump off that bridge, You're not against them. You're on their side. You're not trying to push them off, you're on their side trying to win them over. Whatever you say that comes out of your mouth, you're doing this for them. It's in their best interest to bring them on board, to save their lives. It's the same exact thing. So you're doing that for them, not against them. So I just want to clarify.
Yeah. Just to be clear, I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know why my name says shipping, but it's TJ. For some reason, it's messed up.
Okay, TJ. I was gonna say shipping to who? Thank you, TJ.
I don't know why it says that. I have no clue. But yeah, I didn't mean it like, I shouldn't have said it against them, but I do like writing down what they say when they're describing to me why they intend to change and why they're invested and why it's something that they decided to get on a call for, so that I can later on say, like, you know, her example was you mentioned that you were a 12 on the scale of 1 to 10. And then she pauses and she tells them, you're a 12 because you told me that you feel depressed, you feel, you know, exhausted all the time, you feel disgusting. Like, that's not the way that anybody should feel ever. So I didn't mean it like against them, but just more of like using their own words to make them understand why they really need this.
Yes, and I agree. It's just, I just wanted to clarify that, you know, some people might interpret that differently. So yeah, thank you for clarifying that, brother. I appreciate you. All right, cool. So any other questions?
Yayha, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Wait, did you guys hear anything that came out of my mouth?
No, start over. After you said any other questions, there was nothing after that.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. So, so I was just reading Isabella's comment. Said, when Scott sold me, he reassured me that I should feel nervous since it was a life-changing decision, and that brought me some comfort in making the choice. Yes, absolutely. Here's the thing. Most of the people, most of you who are on this call right now, when you made your investment, you guys were shitting bricks. Right? You weren't like, oh yeah, okay. I mean, there are a few outliers here who don't have a pulse, but all you other people, you guys are freaking out. Okay? And that is okay. That means you're human. That's normal. And remind them, remember, Nick Telia says this a lot. Your protection patterns and mechanisms, they'll show up when you're in the heat of making a huge investment or taking a big risk. Think of marriage, when a person's about to get married. When does a person get cold feet? Right before the wedding day, right? It's like, holy shit, this is a big commitment. What am I gonna do? You see what I'm saying? So this is normal. Remind them also, like, yeah, that means you're human. That means you actually care about this, and we got your back. Every time they feel like they're about to panic, reassure them that you're here, that this is the best decision. Remind them of the future, the possibility that they're investing in. That's what you're doing here. Every time you're making a sale, let's just say, you're serving them, it's really a dance between their past history of being abused or misused or scammed or mistrusted or betrayed, or their future possibility of what can happen to them when they have someone that they can trust. And it'll show up in a relationship, it will show up in business, it'll show up in how you handle an opportunity like this when it comes to your health. Anyway, I'm going on a rant. Any other questions, guys? You could just raise your hand so I can see you, so I can unmute you. Okay, Kelly, we got you. Kelly, you are in the spotlight.
Cool. So this is just a real quick follow-up on that question. So basically, if you're saying something like, you should feel nervous since it's a life-changing decision, the follow-up to that would be assuring them that they are investing in something that's going to change your lives. But you can't say something like, you can't basically promise that, because at the end of the day, it comes down to their own, like, they have personal responsibility over, you know, whatever. So it's not like you can, like, promise that. How do you, just like, can you give some examples of words you might use to reassure them that, like, this is okay, like, this is an investment that will change your life, without, like, stating things that aren't necessarily in your control, like, I promise, you know?
Well, do you say it like this? As long as you are willing to be coachable and put in the work, this will be the best investment of your life. Boom.
Okay, that's perfect.
You see, you just give them the sense of responsibility. And we do the same thing for you guys. Like our system works, right? But we can't, like, we can't tell you, like, if you don't put in the work, then it's going to work for you. It's the same exact thing. Put in the work, stay consistent, follow the process, and you'll get the results. So anything else that you want to follow up with that, Kelly?
No, that's absolutely perfect.
Solid. Thank you for your question.
We can guarantee what will happen if they keep doing the same thing.
Right. Insanity?
Yayha's got a good one on that.
Insanity. If they keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results, that's called insanity. Okay, any other questions? Raise your hand, please, so I can see your beautiful hands. Don't be so shy, guys. Okay, here we go. Oh my God, we got a Jim in the house. Yo, Jim, make some noise. What's up, dude?
I'm out to lobby.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Better, yes.
Yeah, cool. Let's see if I can get this in. There you go. Yeah, mine's a bit of a shitty one, to be honest. How do I diffuse people telling them they want to kill themselves down the phone to me? Do I just leave that alone? Do I just walk away from it?
Wait.
How do I diffuse a situation where people are saying they want to kill themselves down the phone to me? Do I just walk away from something like that, or what do I?
So
I obviously don't want them as clients, do I?
An example? Did somebody say that they wanted to kill themselves on the call with you?
Yeah, I've had 3.
3 people. That's interesting. Why?
I don't know, because they're mentally unstable. It's been a difficult slog. I'm not going to lie. I've spoke to Ben about it. I'm just trying to understand. Obviously there's a bit of an issue with the people who are looking at our content and the people who are getting in touch with us. It's a struggle, really, because that's not a client that we want, is it? But it's trying to let them down, and then you've got them on the text messages and Facebook telling you that they want to bump themselves off.
Well, so here's my, if you don't mind, I'm just to get us back on track here. This is what I will say to you, Jim. Number 1, be conscious of what type of content you're putting out into the world, and to see like why you're attracting those type of people. Okay, did you have a story that hit home, and that's why they're on a call with you and they feel like they can reach out to you? So what is it that you're putting out there, or that might have given them an impression that you're a suicide hotline, right? So that's number 1. And number 2, when they're on the call with you and it's something that severe and that serious, I would honestly gear the entire conversation to like, well, you need some help, and you might not be the best person to help them in that context. They need to see a professional, right? So like, you're not qualified in that moment to give them any type of advice in that situation. And don't do it in a way where, it's like it pushes them over. Just say like, listen, I want to help you. I understand. Like, don't say I understand, because you might not be able to understand, but say like, I know there are people who feel that way, and the best thing that you can do is go here, and give them the number to call to immediately after they get off the call with you. Does that make sense,
yes.
Jim?
Yeah. So it's obviously a content issue, isn't it?
Yeah. So
it's content issue.
Yeah. So if you're saying stuff like that in your messaging, maybe people are trying to work with you because of that only, and not because of the results that you're going to give them. Whether it's health, I'm assuming that what you're providing is health and fitness. Am I correct?
Yeah. You wouldn't think, would you?
Yeah. No. So like, just make sure the majority of the conversation is about how health and fitness saved your life and how it can save yours too, like it did mine. It's all about the messaging. If you're attracting certain people into your life, it's only because you've some way publicized or said something to attract those type of clients. Okay.
I think Jay might have got too needy on his transformation one. All right. Okay. Sounds. We'll work.
Was that helpful, Jim? Did you get an answer that you were looking for?
Yeah, I think, like I say, I've been pretty much doing that. And me and Jay, it's me and Jay. You've got Jay in this group chat as well. We're both under the same.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And obviously, we were asking Ben about what the situation was, why we seem to be getting that. And no one seems to be able to point out the issue with our content. And we can't point out the issue. And we're just struggling a bit to really understand.
Well, how about you do this? How about you tag me into some of your earlier content that people have scheduled a call so I can see what's going on there. Because I'm pretty sure it has to do with the messaging. Because if you got 3 in a row, that's not by chance, dude. That's not by chance.
No. Tell me about it.
That's not by chance. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. So make sure you tag me, please, so I can make sure I address that for you. Awesome. Nora. Yes, Nora.
So I know that everybody has like different qualifications of, what's an ideal client for them, like what's not, when to get off the phone. But is there stuff that's universal, like somewhat universal to where, like, depending on what they're saying, whether it's like their income range isn't really where you're at, or just their tonality is like kind of off? Like, is there stuff that we should be looking for where we know like we're wasting our time, or should we just go full force with everybody and just kind of like hope that they're a yes? You know what I mean? I mean, just in terms of like not wasting your time and energy into people that aren't ever going to sign up.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. And here's what you're looking for, Nora. So you're looking for one main thing. At least this is what I look for in a call. The other coaches might be doing something completely different. I look for their level of commitment and resourcefulness. That's it. Those are 2 things. Every single question that I pose on a call, whether it's through a script or not, is giving me insight whether they are a committed person or a resourceful person. That's it. Every question that I use at the end of a call is determining whether they're a committed or a resourceful person. If they are not, I don't want to work with them. That to me tells me whether they're going to be a fit or not moving forward. Does that answer your question, Nora?
Yep. Perfect.
Wonderful. Awesome. Cool. Any other questions? Raise your hand. All right, cool. If I don't have any other questions right now, I want to leave you with one closing remark. Okay? It is your obligation to challenge people's objections. It is your obligation to challenge your customers and your clients' objections, period. Do you know why? Because what you have to offer can actually transform their lives, period. If you do not believe that what you have to offer can transform their lives, the issue isn't in the script, the issue isn't in the client, the issue is in your self-image, your self-worth, your belief in your ability. That's it. So make sure that you're not dancing around the whole objection thing by creating another story or an excuse for yourself. Make sure you know that when you're getting on a call with somebody, you understand that it is your duty. It is not only your right, but it is your responsibility to challenge them. Because on the other side, if they take responsibility and take action and are coachable enough to move forward, it can literally change the game for them. They will get the body that they want. They will get the respect that they want. They will get the love and the attention and admiration that they want. They will get the freedom that they want. Whatever it is that they want, they will get that. Okay? So important. When we say that this is about instant impact, it's not just a clever slogan. It's serious business for us. We're in the business of changing lives. You're in the business of changing lives. Remind yourself that. It is your obligation to challenge people's objections. Period. Okay? So I'll leave you with that. TJ, well, before I close, I got a few more questions here. Can you give examples of what gives you an idea of resourcefulness? TJ, so examples of resourcefulness. Can you give examples of what gives you an idea? Oh, how willing if they're willing to work. So like Sterling selling his car, that's resourcefulness. I had $47 before I became a speaker, and I had to make a $9,000 investment. I didn't know I was resourceful, but so here's the thing. This is how you know if a person is ready to be resourceful or not. If money wasn't an object, right? And I know you guys have this in your script. If money wasn't the object, is this a hell yes or a hell no? It's a hell yes. That means they already made a decision. Now the question is, are they willing to be resourceful enough to figure out a way to make it happen? If they're open to that, then we can continue this conversation. If they say, yes, but, yeah, I'm resourceful, but bullshit, no, you're not resourceful. You're making excuses. Anytime they put a but in that conversation, you can say, sit on your ass. You're making excuses for yourself. Okay? Good stuff, Nick. Yayha, can I introduce myself to the group before we go? Yes, Chris, please introduce yourself to the group. Where are you, Chris? Wait, hold on. I'm gonna unmute you. 1 second. There you go. You're on.
Hey, how's everybody going? Chris Perez just became a part of the family today. Extremely excited, and Scott brought me on and was like, "Hey, man, we got a class in an hour. Can you make it?" And I was like, "Of course I can make it, man, because that's what we do." So, anyhow, Yayha, this was amazing, and I just wanted to personally introduce myself to all you, and I really look forward to connecting and bringing some incredible value to everybody. So,
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for trusting us to support you, my brother. We are here for you. You're part of the family. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, brother. Awesome. Guys, any final words before we close? So can you guys unmute yourselves and let me know through your vocal response whether this was valuable or not?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Guys, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. Listen, just final word of advice. Don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20.
Yeah, you better beatbox now.
All right? Don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. And then I'll let you go with this. All right, I love you guys. Have fun. If you have more questions, I'll see you in the next training. Peace.